Welcome to a special summer edition of Check-In. This time our seasoned traveller Lukas Stege explores holiday destinations on and around the water. First he goes to Lake Constance in southwestern Germany. Then he takes a houseboat onto the Mecklenburg Lakes. And he rounds off his trip on the River Rhine, looking for that famous Rhine romanticism. But we start off in the state of Baden-Württemberg on Lake Constance.
Lake Constance. It's the biggest lake in Germany, but it does share its shores with Austria and Switzerland. I've come here to spend a day exploring this incredibly beautiful part of the country.
What a great view. On this side we have the German shore of Lake Constance with the city of Constance itself, and over there is Switzerland with some gorgeous mountains in the background. The sun is shining, it's just perfect.
I want to make the most of my visit, so I've made plans to tour the surroundings by water, land and air. The perfect place to start a tour of Lake Constance is the harbor in the city of Constance. Here you can see the Konzilgebäude, or council building, which once hosted an important gathering.
Around 600 years ago, there were 3 popes ruling at the same time. All 3 of them were deposed in this house and a new one was elected. It was such an important event at the time that it put Constance at the center of everyone's attention.
Around 70,000 visitors came to the town during the council, as well as a number of prostitutes. This figure, known as Imperia, harks back to that time. She welcomes all those who enter the harbor, like the excursion ships that cruise all around the lake. The lake is so big that only the Swiss side can be seen from here. The Austrian shore is about 45 kilometers away, but it is never visible from Constance. That's due to the curvature of the earth. I spot my next destination as it comes into sight, Meersburg. It's said to have a delightful old town. There are half-timbered houses, a huge water wheel, an old castle and a Baroque palace. Its lakeside promenade is lined with one restaurant after the other. A lot of them serve Felchen, a kind of whitefish typical of the region. But I've discovered that not all of the restaurants here serve locally caught fish. I want to hear more about that, so I've arranged to meet fisherman Andreas Geiger. Andreas tells me that for a long time the lake was contaminated by fertilizers and contained an overabundance of plant nutrients like phosphates. Water treatment began in the 1970s, but Andreas Geiger thinks they've overdone it. Do you still go fishing every day?
No, not anymore, because there's hardly anything left to catch.
Why is that?
The fish are starving, the plants are starving, the lake has far too few nutrients.
What impact does that have on fishermen and tourists?
For you as a tourist, it means that you can't eat locally caught fish here, on Europe's second largest lake. Only shipped and farmed fish. For my colleagues and me, it means one of the world's oldest professions is at risk of dying out here.
Felchen, a kind of whitefish, is typical for this region. How do you like it best?
I like it by the ton and sold at a good price.
But that's rare nowadays. Andreas Geiger comes from a long line of fishermen, 4 generations. But he's the first who is unable to earn a living from his catch. So he's also opened a small restaurant featuring local specialties. But fishing is still his passion. My first day on Lake Constance is drawing to a close, and so far my visit has been fantastic. But the highlight is still to come, a Zeppelin ride.
I'm excited, but I'm looking forward to the flight.
The world's first Zeppelin took to the air from here in Friedrichshafen in 1900. Nowadays, visitors can take a ride in one. I've booked half an hour for 220 euros. We're in the capable hands of the world's only female Zeppelin pilot, Kate Board, who hails from Britain.
The best part of my job is flying on a day like today, really. And flying in such a beautiful place. I mean, you can see today, we can see all the mountains. It's absolutely gorgeous here, and I love living here in Germany. It's not that I have to live here in Germany, I absolutely love it and have no plans to leave.
So how are the passengers doing?
I'm fascinated by this feeling of weightlessness, the calm flight. I do a lot of paragliding that requires a little more effort and concentration, so I'm really enjoying the serenity of this trip. It's my first time in an airship, and I'm really enjoying myself.
You can watch the world pass by below you. It's beautiful.
The trip was amazing, but seems over in a flash. What a pity.
Klasse, danke. That was incredible. You're not flying, you're floating in the air. And the view is just amazing. I would do it again. And I got this as a souvenir. I'm very proud of it.
After my airship flight, I decide to chill out by the water for a while. There are many public beaches on the lake, like this one here in Unteruldingen. The water is really clean, so it's wonderful for swimming.
Right next to this beautiful beach, there are reconstructions of stilt houses from the Stone and Bronze Ages. Let's have a look.
It's so interesting to see how people lived here in Unteruldingen 4,000 years ago. In 2011, these lake-dwelling settlements were declared World Heritage Sites. You can learn a lot about the daily life of the former inhabitants inside the reconstructed huts. What did they wear? What tools did they use? The stilt houses are constantly being enlarged and developed. It's worth making a second visit.
Unfortunately, my trip to Lake Constance is over. There's definitely a lot to see and do around here. But in my opinion, the most beautiful thing is that view.
The second stop on our check-in special edition is the Mecklenburg Lake District in northeastern Germany. Here, Lukas gets to fulfill his dream of being a boat captain.
Super.
This is my first trip to the land of 1,000 lakes, otherwise known as the Mecklenburg Lake District, which is in northeastern Germany. There's water as far as the eye can see. It's so peaceful.
This is like a postcard of the region. The view of Germany's largest lake, the Müritz, from this church tower in Röbel. And I'm going to explore Mecklenburg's Lake District with a houseboat. I don't need a license to pilot the boat around the lakes, but I do need some basic instructions.
Hi, I'm Ralph.
Hi, I'm Lucas.
Let's go aboard. Down below are your quarters. On the port side is the first cabin. And over here is a toilet and the shower. Now we'll go up to the salon,
which is also the control room. This is the echo sounder, very important because it will help us avoid running aground. But the best view is from up on the deck. Look at all the signs I have to learn.
Wir haben hier nochmal unser Signalhorn und wir haben...
But it's not to be blown in the harbor. That is bad nautical manners. Let's set sail. That's Andreas, my colleague. He's coming along for the ride. Finally, we can begin our adventure. I'm doing pretty well. Lake Müritz is very big and spacious, and there's not much traffic, so it's a great place for a beginner to practice his skippering skills. We're now in Waren, the biggest town on Lake Müritz, and right in the middle of a popular holiday spot. It's also where you'll find the Müritzeum Nature Discovery Center. There I can learn more about the nature here in the Lake District and in Müritz National Park.
So, Frühstück.
In the garden I meet biologist Mareike Wauer. Of course, there's more to be found here than ducks and swans. Indoors there are aquariums with all kinds of local fish. So that's sturgeon. And that one over there, what's that?
That's a bream, and behind it is a pike perch.
Tell us why visitors to the region should come here to the museum.
The Müritzeum is all about the natural environment in the region, especially the flora and fauna of the Mecklenburg Lake District. So there are lots of fish, of course. Here you can learn about the ecology of the local lakes and rivers. There are many other plants and animals. And if you come here first, then you'll know what you're looking at, or what to look out for when you're out exploring. It's a different experience if you've been here first.
Personally, I found the huge school of whitefish pretty impressive. High time to get into the water myself. A little chilly at 20 degrees Celsius, but clean. The water in the Lake District gets top marks for water quality.
Here we've got pike, bass, tench. Sometimes we've also got perch, trout and char.
This is making me hungry. And while it's great to be able to cook on board, I'd rather get some freshly smoked fish that's been caught right here in the lake.
Here is our lovely smokehouse. It's very traditional, nice and black. It has seen plenty of fish in its time. In the olden days, you couldn't put fish in the deep freeze. So they preserved fish by smoking them. If you like the traditional rustic way of life and the aroma, a smokehouse is the place to be.
That smoked eel looks good. Thank you.
It's a fine specimen.
Alles klar, besten Dank.
And we've found the perfect spot to drop anchor on the Müritz. This is the life. I'm up early and it's a lovely morning on the lake. The wind is up and the air is fresh. The water's pretty choppy, huh? Great! And as our cruise draws to a close, I'm going to show off some of the skills I have learned here on Lake Müritz. People on shore or on the other boats really enjoy watching amateur skippers struggle to maneuver their boats into the berth.
Lieber nicht, treibt ja noch, ne? I made it. Total freedom on the Mecklenburg Lakes. So much water, so much nature, and I've only seen a small part of it. So I definitely have to come back again.
The third destination on our check-in summer special takes Luckerstege to the Rhine, or to be more exact, to the upper middle Rhine Valley, an enchanting river landscape.
Rivers always have a really relaxing atmosphere. I can sit next to them for hours, just lost in thought. And this isn't just any old river, it's the Rhine, one of the longest rivers in Europe.
The River Rhine extends 870 kilometers across Germany alone. And this stretch here, between Koblenz and Rüdesheim, is considered the most beautiful.
That's what UNESCO says, and they've declared this section a World Heritage Site. But what's so special about it? That's exactly what I want to find out today. I'm starting my journey in Koblenz and heading almost 70 kilometers upstream. That's my plan for today. And I'm going by boat. There are plenty of them here on the river.
Hallo.
Ticket to St. Goarshausen, please.
Sure. You a student? You look intelligent.
Thank you.
Ahoy!
A boat trip down the Rhine, it's just amazing. People from all over the world are here having a good time.
What do you think of the part so far?
So far, I love the castle coming up. I love the green, and I love that it's so open and quiet and pretty.
The castle is amazing because we don't have this castle left and alive. Very amazing.
Such lovely colors. With the castles and the little country houses, it's just beautiful.
I'm also very impressed by the castles, just one after another.
It's hard to believe how much history this small section of the river has to offer. As well as boasting spectacular scenery, the area has a rich cultural history too.
Time for a change of perspective. I'm on top of a famous cliff in the Rhine Valley. Legend has it that a beautiful woman called Lorelei sat here enchanting sailors with her singing, which made them steer their boats into the cliff and drown.
It's actually a pretty sad story, but the image of the golden-haired siren continues to lure tourists to this spot.
Lorelei also inspired a German poet.
Heinrich Heine?
Do you know Heinrich Heine?
Yes.
In 1824 he wrote a poem. It was all about the Lorelei here. Do you know the words?
No, sorry, I don't know it by heart.
I don't know the reason for my sorrow.
I found a few people who could perform some for me, though.
It haunts me. Oh, I can't remember.
Die Luft ist kühl und es dunkel und ruhig fließt der Rhein.
Not bad. This valley is just breathtaking, and for centuries these slopes have been used for winemaking. I have a bit of a climb, right through the vineyards in Oberwesel.
I've got a date. Well, kind of. With the wine queen of the Middle Rhine. Yep, she really exists.
German Riesling is world famous, and they grow the wine here in the Rhine region too. Sarah Hulten is pretty familiar with that business. How do you become a wine queen?
You've got to know a lot about wine growing. And the judges will want to find out whether you can think on your feet and have an outgoing personality. You've got to have both, because you'll be representing the community and dealing with a lot of people.
What's special about the local wines? Is it the flavor?
The Middle Rhine wine-growing region is very small, just 470 hectares. But we produce so much great wine. The river acts as a thermal reservoir, and it reflects the sunlight onto the grapevines. So it's a perfect mix of conditions.
What are the wineries doing to maintain traditional growing methods?
A lot of the wine growers, especially the younger ones, are trying to preserve the vineyards on the slopes. And they do that by combining traditional growing methods with new technology. For example, several wine growers have joined forces with the Middle Rhine Riesling Charter to promote high standards of quality. Part of the proceeds from the sale of their wine goes into a specific fund that's used to help maintain the vineyards.
We've talked a lot about wine. Now let's try some.
Absolutely.
Of course we're having a Riesling, which comes from the vineyard behind us in Oberwesel. Delicious. We're back in the valley of the Middle Rhine. The ferry will take us to the other side. There are almost no bridges to preserve the river's landscape.
I've almost reached my final destination. Over there, on the other side of the river, I can see Rüdesheim. That's where this section of the river ends.
This little town of Rüdesheim is popular with tourists from all over. The cobbled street of Drosselgasse is a particular hotspot. The special section of the Rhine ends in Rüdesheim. Is it really the most beautiful, like UNESCO says?
Superlatives aren't even necessary here. All those palaces, castles, vineyards, and cliffs, they speak for themselves.